Mom, guess what? I'm going to college. No, you're not. Mom, did you hear what I said? I'm going to college. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Sure, I didn't actually know if I'd make it to college, but I had to try. And this is when I realized if I wanted to achieve more, then I had to take big risks. I had watched my brother launch his college career his last year of high school. I didn't know how he had done it, but I knew that I could do the same. So when he threw that college application on the table and said, "Here, fill this out, you're going to college," I said unafraid, "Okay," and without telling my parents that I had applied. As daughter of immigrant parents who came to this beautiful country to give their family the American dream, I knew all they could do was put food on the table and a roof over our heads. But I also knew that I was meant for more and that I had an American dream of my own. It's not about luck that I took college prep classes, was in yearbook club, varsity volleyball, and homecoming princess. I had been preparing for the next chapter of my life. So when I submitted my college application, I waited impatiently for an answer. And as I walked to the mailbox for the 20th time, there it was, the envelope that held the next step of my destiny. As I opened the envelope and read the letter, it said, "Congratulations, you've been accepted." See, I was going to Sacramento State University. However, in those days, as a Latina, you were expected to stay home until you were married. But I had my heart set on a different path. I had my heart set on going to college. And while it was difficult to break such a deeply rooted Latino tradition, I knew college was meant for me, and I was going to college. Now, the day came that we drove to Sacramento in my father's old beat-up Ford truck. I remember seeing a beautiful green, lush, well-manicured lawn. I couldn't help to feel a mixture of emotions and feelings, sadness, joy, and excitement. I also felt a sense of belonging as I waved goodbye to my mother with tears in her eyes and my father with a proud look. It was understood that I had stood my ground and that I had made the right choice. At a young age, I knew I had a fire in me, but it took me missing out to realize that I had to push myself and take big risks to achieve what I wanted and to get to where I needed to go. In grade school, I remember thinking, I would love to be part of that annual talent show. But the deadline came and went, and I wasn't brave enough to submit my name. The day of the talent show, I sat, legs crossed, excited to see that first act. And the music started, and there, taking the stage, were the identical twins, dressed in matching blue outfits with beautiful updos and a feather placed carefully in the middle. Suddenly I heard, Copacabana. I knew then and there that I had made a mistake by not adding my name to the talent show. I was disappointed, upset, and even jealous that the twins were on stage and I had sat it out. I remember thinking, the next time I will be on stage. Now, fast forward when Madonna was expressing herself and Bobby Brown took a stance on my prerogative. My hair was as high as a fan and Aquanet was in. The bigger the can, the higher the pump. It was my third year of high school, and it was time to nominate yourself or be nominated for student council, this time I refused to sit it out. I gathered the courage and I added my name to the ballot. I was nervous that I wouldn't win the election. The day came when I had to give my big campaign speech. I walked up to the mic and I gave a speech that had my peers cheering. This was the moment I knew that I had conquered my fears. And it was a lesson that I would never forget. The next few days were nerve-wracking. Did I win? Did I lose? Did I make a fool of myself in front of the entire high school? When the results were in, I walked up to the principal's office door to see who had won. And as I held my breath, there was my name, Analia Mendez, Vice President of Junior Class. I did it. You see, it took guts and fearlessness to add my name to the ballot. This time, I refused to sit out this opportunity. You could also say that I was both relieved and ecstatic that I had won. And it was the same fearlessness that drove me to go and apply to college without my parents' permission. Although it turns out that this college thing wasn't as easy as winning an election. My college years were a mix of 90s movies like House Party and Clueless. You see, as daughter of immigrant parents who came to this country and didn't finish high school, it was difficult for a first-generation student to succeed. My parents gave me perseverance, courage, and strength. What they couldn't give me was a roadmap to college. So I did what every 17-year-old does, and I had fun the next couple of years, until the dreaded day when my counselor said, either you shape up or you ship out. Yes, I was about to get kicked out of college. What would my parents say? What would my friends say? Worse yet, what would I do if I had to go back to Modesto? I remember thinking, there's no way I'm going back to Modesto. I didn't come this far just to get this far. So I had no choice but to make up the failed work. And at the end of my sophomore year in college, I got engaged to my high school sweetheart. You see, culture follows you regardless of where you go. I was engaged at 19 and married at 21. I thought it was a natural next step. And I took it all very lightly when I picked up and moved to the Bay Area. But 5 years into the marriage and a prolonged college education and a BA in psychology later, I still wanted more. You can say that I was flourishing as a beautiful, educated woman. My husband could tell the difference in my confidence and way of being. He did not like it. While he admired my accomplishment, he disliked this new independent woman that I was becoming. As I was finishing my first degree, I met this wonderful woman by the name of Dr. Amy Hittner, a professor of counseling, clinician, entrepreneur, wife, and stepmother. I admired that spunky woman. She was successful, unstoppable, and empowering, and I wanted to be just like her. You see, everyone needs a mentor to guide them, especially when you don't have someone to show you the ropes. Amy took me under her wing, and I accepted. Soon, she hired me to work on her multi-million-dollar federal grant. This was the beginning of my 20-year career in higher education. I had the natural talent to help others and a desire to do more. Amy would soon invite me to apply to the counseling program, a master's program. I thought to myself, If I want to do more and help others, then I must get specialized training. I had worked hard to get to where I was to that point, and it hadn't just been luck. I had everything to be competitive and to qualify for one of the top counseling programs in the country. And when I shared the news with my husband, the words that came out of his mouth were unbelievable. You see, he didn't want me to change, and he certainly didn't want me to advance my career. He was controlling. And when I realized this, I detested being in a relationship where I felt confined. I remember him saying one day, "You don't need another degree, you already have one." This was the beginning of the end of a 7-year marriage. I had realized that I had outgrown my partner and that I had to move on in order to unleash all that I could and to be of service to others. When I shared the news with Amy that I was getting a divorce, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a check with a note that said, "Pay it forward." I took that note to heart, and today I can pay it forward twofold. After my divorce, I spent the next 8 years rediscovering myself as an independent woman with a master's in counseling, a professional and homeowner, when to the tune of Independent Woman, the music came screeching to a halt. I met a tall, handsome U.S. Marine. Now, let's just say I wasn't looking for another marriage, but he made it easy to say yes. The second time around, I recognized my perfect match. Since meeting my husband, we've created this beautiful home for our family. And by his side, I've had a successful 20-year career in higher education. And I'm excited to say that I am an entrepreneur of a coaching company, Signature Careers. Thank you. However, it's not about luck that I'm successful today. I took calculated risks. I gave up living under my parents' comfort, and later an unhealthy relationship to have and be more. I leaned on my mentor when I needed her the most, and I humbled myself to learn valuable lessons. I fearlessly created opportunities where there were none. Through each trial, tribulation, and success, there were lessons to be learned, skills to be picked up, important people to meet. I had learned that it didn't matter how long it took to get to the next chapter. What mattered was that I was meant for more and that no one can take that away from me. Today I'm successful, unstoppable, and empowering to all who face adversity. And I am Sue, and I know you can be Sue too. Thank you.